What's going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be showing you how to do a really cool trick involving the instrument rack and a few plugins. So I'm going to just jump right in here, follow along if you will, and hopefully you can get something out of this. So I'm going to delete these audio tracks here. I don't really need them, and this MIDI track I'm going to delete it just so we can start fresh. First thing I'm going to want to do is get the instrument rack here. So we're going to do some cool tricks here with the instrument rack, load a bunch of stuff in here. Normally you can layer sounds, but I'm going to use this chain selector to switch between them in a really cool way. The other thing we're going to want to do is get a few plugins. So we'll start off with some drums here. So I'm going to get Audio Damage Tattoo, which is going to be a really cool drum sequencer that you can use. Obviously it has its own drum sounds built in here. You got a bunch of kits that we can check out, or you can use the sequencer here and send the information to another drum set, which is more of our aim here. So what I'm gonna do is upload a drum set as well, because we need to get some drums into this rack. I'm gonna use the battery by Native Instruments. If you don't happen to have this one, of course you can always use any drum kit, any drum rack. Even you can even use plugins like the Spark or anything. So that's the cool trick about this. For now, I do have to route it though, so it's important to note that with these plugins here, and particularly the Tattoo, you're going to want to upload or instantiate the VST as opposed to the audio unit. Reason being is that the audio unit is not able to pass MIDI out, whereas the VST is. So right here on this option where we route the MIDI from Tattoo into the instrument rack, if you're using the audio unit, you won't get this option here, which is important to get MIDI into this track here. So unfortunately the audio units won't work here. Now I did not load a kit here, so we'll make sure to get a kit into the battery, and we'll show you how this works here. Just kind of pick any kit there. So what I'm going to do is just kind of put some information into the drum sequencer here. Just do like a standard 4 to the floor kind of a thing, and well, this is going to pass into the information from the Tattoo is going to pass into the instrument rack. So we'll set our monitor to receive input, and there it is. Now you'll notice the Tattoo track is also playing. It's passing the input like we want, but we don't want the Tattoo to play the internal sounds, so we'll send MIDI only, and that way we only get the sounds from the battery. So the other cool thing about the Tattoo here is that obviously we can do our beat here and it'll play along with us, but you also have cool features like this random beats where you can actually do random fills that'll be constantly changing throughout the song, so you don't have to worry about doing fills and certain things like that. So in particular, I like doing it a lot with the hats, of course, because you can really mangle them up with some different kinds of upbeats and downbeats using this randomized feature. So of course you can set the timing of it if you want to do triplets, and here you set the velocity of it, so if you want it to be lower or higher, or if you want to do kind of more of a pattern there, which I accidentally sent it to the drum there, whoops, to the snare there, but we want to set it to the hi-hat, so kind of redo that there. But you noticed how it did it with the drum, so that's cool because it really like accentuated the effect there. Sometimes the hats you can't really hear it, so but on up here, one cool thing to note, for example, say you didn't want a random note to come out of a certain part, as we just absolutely did not want it to come out here, you can just kind of mute that out, which is really cool. So that'll help us kind of control the randomness of this. Another cool thing that you can do is you can actually create different patterns here, and you have up to 16 different patterns that you can create. And as you notice, it'll keep it in time for us. And you can actually control these live with the MIDI keyboard. I believe this is going to be C3. It starts at C3. So you just go chromatically up there through the notes on your keyboard to access the different patterns. So if I play a C3 on my keyboard, it'll bring me back to that pattern. If I play a C sharp 3 on my keyboard, it'll play the second pattern for us. So that's a really cool feature to kind of mangle stuff up live, or you can even create a MIDI clip in here with information that'll control the patterns. So that's a really cool trick to kind of get your drums going there. I know sometimes drums are tough to get really sounding, realistic, so this kind of helps. But we're not going to stop there. We're gonna do another trick involving the instrument rack. Obviously, I could have just uploaded battery or any drum rack to do that trick, but the real magic happens inside of the instrument rack. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a few duplicates of this battery. I like to keep it to an even number, just to keep it within our 4/4 standard. Obviously, if you're doing odd time signatures, you can kind of keep your beat in time by uploading. If you're doing 7/8, you can upload 7 of these patterns. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a little bit more clarity. So we'll just change up a few of these kits, because we're not going to want the exact same thing. And now normally, like I said, you would layer these kits by using the instrument rack, but we're going to be kind of switching between them in certain ways. So I'm just kind of picking different kits here, and we're going to mix between the two, all the 4 sounds here. So just picking a few random kits here. And so now, as you notice, from here we have the alkaloid, alphabetic, apnea, big wave. Okay, so if I were to press play right now, they're all gonna play at the same time, so it'd be very loud, and they'd all be layered. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna hit Command A to select all, and this little region here, I'm gonna stretch it out to the full length, and then we're gonna right click, distribute ranges evenly. So now, anytime the chain selector is in this region, only that drum set's gonna play, and then anytime it's in this region, this drum set will play. So let's do an example here. So now we have the alkaloid, alphabetic, apnea, and big wave. So we can switch between these kits by automating clips and doing live MIDI control. But a really cool trick that I discovered to kind of help your creativity is to use the LFO, map the LFO to the chain selector as such. And you can control the frequency here of how fast the LFO goes, or you can actually sync it to your song. So if you sync it here, notice it won't play unless you have the track playing. So here we can actually control the timing of the LFO, and you see it switches kits every time a note is played. So very cool trick to use to do some really glitched, new kind of mangled sounds. So that sounds pretty good right there. We'll kind of leave it at that. You can obviously mess around with it, jitter it, change the phase of it. You can hold it at a certain spot if you want a certain kit to play longer, and all this stuff you can map to a MIDI controller. So very cool stuff to control your drums. But it doesn't stop there. We're gonna want to do, well, we're gonna want to add something to it. So why not add some, some bass, some melody, or kind of do this trick and get a little bit of both. So similar to the tattoo, we're going to shift gears here. We're going to use the Thesys, but similar to tattoo, the way that you can sequence a drum sequence and feed it into another drum set or drum plugin, Thesys will allow you to sequence certain melodies and MIDI performances, modulations, and feed them into other plugins. So we're going to add another bass part slash melody doing this same trick with the instrument rack and Thesys. So I figured we would kind of have a song that makes its own, if you will. And of course you can mangle this stuff live as well, just like in Thesys. Here you have a few different patterns that you can create, and these you can control with the C1 key through that octave there. With the tattoo, it was with the C3 key. But also with Thesys, you get the addition of these action keys, which are kind of like half time, double time, and you have pitch control as well. So lots of cool stuff that you can mess with live. But yeah, let's jump right into Thesys here. I'm gonna just leave it back on that pattern there, and you'll notice it also has its own internal sounds, but we'll just leave those off, and we'll jump right back into the instrument rack. So for the instrument rack, once again, this is where the magic happens. So let's kind of just let's just pick some cool sounds here. Let's see. Usually these are pretty cool. I'll just pick a few cool ones here. Let's see here. That one's alright. And then, like I said, I like to keep it to, you know, 4s, 8s, 6s, kind of. You know, like I said, you can do a 7, but it'll throw it off sometimes, kind of make it off time a bit too much. Of course, if you're trying to mess around with time signatures, by all means. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can come up with some crazy stuff using this trick, but see, like right here, I have just 7, and that'll be playing on top of the 4s, and it'll, if you can get it in the right right fashion, I mean, I'm sure you can get some crazy odd syncopated beats, but for now, just for the sake of this tutorial here, I guess we'll pick one more sound here to make it 8. Yeah, let's start it off with that one. Start it off with the bass here, so kind of move that one up here. It's good to give it like a good bass to start with. So same thing here. We're gonna Command A and drag these to the full length. Right click, distribute ranges evenly. Pull up an LFO and map the LFO to the chain selector. Once again, I'm going to want to use the sync. We'll set it to 4ths there. And we have to also accept the routing once again. So once again, I'll reiterate that AUs do not pass MIDI output, so you will have to use the VST for the Thesys. So let's check these out here. I'm gonna just mute these first two and hear how the bass sounds here. All right, pretty cool. And we'll kind of throw the drums in there, see what that sounds like. All right, cool. And like I said, obviously we can go into the tattoo here, and the tattoo will allow us to change patterns there using C3 on our MIDI keyboard. And over here we can change patterns using C1. Obviously, to really get some control on this, you'd want to have 2 different MIDI controllers, and then select one MIDI controller here, select your other MIDI controller here, and that way they don't interfere. So that if you hit C3 or D3 to change the pattern over here, it won't change the pitch over here. So that way you have independent control. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this trick. I know it's you can get lots of cool, interesting sounds. You can mangle this live. I mean, the possibilities are endless. You can create 16 different patterns over here, 16 different patterns over there, and just switch between them in endless ways, while also having control over here on the LFO, because you can also mess with the rate and the phase of it all, and shift where the chain selector is at. Thus, changing the sound. So I mean, endless possibilities for this trick. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I know I've had lots of fun doing this stuff, so stay tuned for more.